No, I'm in Liberia.
Good morning. Good morning. I can't hear you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ava. Good morning to you on that side in Monrovia, Liberia. I see that
Right.
you're on the ground. You're making things happen. You're one of the movers and the shakers as we continue to.
Oh, my man. Don't falsely praise me.
What's going on today?
So somebody telling me the show is not on. I don't know whether they're correct or not, but I believe we are on. Let me just check and see from my phone whether the show is on.
I see that you're on Facebook. I see it there on your
Okay, but then I'm fine. Once you see it, I'm good.
Yes, I see it there. We're good.
All
So
right.
how's everything going? How's your trip been going so far? What's the topic for today? What are we talking about today? Let's kind of introduce the folks and let everybody know what we're talking about today so they can
Don't
kind of
ask
get
them
ready.
Don't ask them my trip before I family on things here prematurely. But anyway, I want to say good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to this edition of Business Talk. We are excited to, keep the show going, to have back our partner like we did 2 weekends ago, Mr. Elkanah Philips. Today's show is really about how we can unpack all these different projects. We get these IT projects, how Liberians participate or don't participate. How do the projects really translate into jobs for Liberians or even sustainable jobs, right? So it's important for us to recognize that digital transformation is a necessity. But we want inclusivity. We want Liberians to be included in this process, especially Liberians that are capable to be a part of this process and lead the process, even from our perspective, as a matter of fact. So it's just important that we talk about it, we get to understand it. Hopefully some of the IT experts in the country will be able to come on and join us and share some of their thoughts. But we know that over time, we can clearly pinpoint technology jobs in a sector, especially those that are derived from, funding from our own loans for the most part, because a lot of the money in the tech sector is money that comes from loans. Some of them are granted, but the primary funding for this stuff is our loans. So we got to see how are those loans working for us, whether we are being included intentionally, because if we don't do things intentionally, Liberians will always be excluded. It's just the reality of
100%, 100%, 100%.
So where are these, contracts going to? Who are the beneficiary? How do we see that impacting our technology landscape, right? Are they multiplying software development? Are they building more networks? Are the data centers really hosting all government data? Is there e-governance that is facilitating the different processes and making service delivery better? Those are the kind of questions and we need to ask. And then when there's deficits now, then we look at how can things improve and how can we really build the skill set or the entrepreneur engagement that makes this thing Liberian ownership. And that's what we need. We need to own this process and really be a part of it. So that's, my opening on this. I just want to say, for those watching, we say welcome, thank you, share the show. We know these kind of topics, a lot of people don't gravitate towards them because they're not at a certain level, but these are necessary topics for our country, for us to move governance, for us to move the private sector, for Liberians to really be a part of building the economy. Akina?
Yeah, you hit on the topic today for the show is very, very critical. Like you said, digital transformation for every emerging economy is a very, very important part of the foundation, right? So when you're building when a developing country is going through transformation in many aspects with regards to the youth population, whether you want to call them youth, those who are 18 years and older, between, let's say, 18 to 35, that young population. Then you've got all of those who are in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, moving towards a university level. Digital transformation is a major, major part of the entire mixture, if I can put it that will be made into this cement, that will be poured into the foundation of this country, this nation, this economy that has to be built to this 100-foot, 200-foot, 500-foot skyscraper that has to stand on that foundation. So until the understanding of the role of digital transformation, what role it would play, what role it has to play in the country's future, and what role it would play in job creation. So you're a project manager. You cannot look at this thing as a single issue. You got to look at it holistically. And I think that's where the challenge is when it comes to us in Liberia, from the leadership all the way down. We're not looking at things holistically. We're looking at things as individual items and not looking at it as, you look at one link on the chain as opposed to looking at the entire chain of things. So, and that's where I think we're always losing out, because those who are sitting at the table having these discussions, making these deals, signing these agreements, they're not looking at things holistically. And it is so important within this digitization landscape, which is an important part of the economy. We've got to look at things holistically, because telecommunication, what do you call it, telecommunication, what do you call it, IT or ICT, what do you call it, fintech, all of those things, you've got to look at it holistically. And then, this is another part of that also, Ava. What role does the national telecom operator, Telco, play in that process? What role? So, let's go into it holistically. Let us not make the same mistake as the leaders are making, looking at individual things, but let's try to see if we can do it holistically. Again, for those of you who are listening to the show in Liberia, in the US, in the diaspora, on Facebook, we really need your participation today. If you're in the ICT sector, the telecom sector, the fintech sector, let's get into it and talk about, like Abba said, we're signing, our Minister of Finance, they're signing all of these World Bank loans. These loans are being put on the backs of Liberians for the next 10, 15, 20 years to pay these loans back. But if these loans are to be used for investment in the ICT, telecom, or digitalization sector, and Liberians are not, small SMEs, small medium-sized enterprises that are owned by Liberians are not being allowed to participate in it, and expatriate companies are taking it, then the money's going out and we're being stuck with paying the loans. So this is something that has to be discussed, and we need to make a lot of noise about it. If it means naming and shaming, then let's name and shame people so that we can correct it.
I agree.
Very good topic today, Abba. Very good topic. Thank you so much for bringing this topic up today.
And we have to recognize, right, our technology sector is not just to be a support function. This is a pillar that is featured in the arrest agenda We supposedly have a digital transformation strategy.
Mhm.
Anything we want to do that will help us leapfrog or get to the level of efficiency we want requires technology. It's a fundamental building block, it's a growth enabler. I mean, whatever you want to call it is there, you know. And we have been having tens of millions of dollars flowing, whether through donor, whether through government ICT contracts, but we can't see that strong sector. So the problem right now to me is not the funding, okay? It's the structure, the
Mhm.
entire structure, whether from the financial, the procurement, the actual implementation, the accountability, the sustainability, all those are factors, you know. And unfortunately, the dominance by foreign firms in this space, while Liberian firms just stay on the periphery, affects everything. And we have to be honest with that. With Liberian firms,
So,
the
so
money will still here. The jobs will still here. There will be circulation. You know, we've talked about the dollar circulation before. When the IT sector is not even hitting the ground, it's just turning around and going
that's
up
exactly
with most of these foreign firms.
in the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's what they
And
come
you
running
know,
to do a debt rate.
you mentioned something very important there, right? You talk about the arrest agenda. It is an important part of the arrest agenda. So let's look at the arrest. Let's take every letter in the arrest agenda, right? I believe the A is for agriculture. Am I correct? Right?
Right.
Okay. So what role is this ICT, telecommunication, all of that going to play in that agriculture sector? I mean, the whole supply chain depends on ICT, fintech, and all of that. So the question is, you know, just in the agriculture sector, is ICT, telecom, fintech, all of that being looked at holistically from just on the letter A, the first letter in the arrest agenda? Is it being looked at from that perspective? Again, what role is Liptelco playing in that sector? Because again, when you do this whole ICT, telecom, technology, uh, 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 digitalization, transformation, the LTA, the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, all of those two entities there, one being the regulator, one being the local, nationally owned telecom operator. What role are they playing in that? What role are they playing in there just in the agriculture sector? Then you go to roads. Roads are very critical for ICT sector. Why? Because the roads provide a right of way. If you're driving from the airport to Monrovia, what do you see on the right hand side of the road? You see all the telecom poles. You see the pole that Orange ran their fiber backbone from Monrovia on the poles along the road. So the roads create the right of way for fiber backbones to be built. So again, you're back to ICT, telecommunication, digitalization in this space. The roads play a very important role. Then you talk about rule of law, the justice system. How are you
You
going to
know, you
connect the
talk about
courts?
you talk about the roads and you talk about the telco. We look at the AID, the arrest agenda, you know, for
Mm-hmm.
inclusive development.
Development,
And
yeah.
I just searched the word digital. The word
Mm-hmm.
digital is in that document 161 times.
But
Okay.
is it being applied? It's 161 times.
That's the question. So we say on paper is there when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to actual implementation, impact, inclusiveness, institutionalization, all those I's, there's a lot of limitation and a lot of things not happening the way they should happen, you know. So we really, when we talk about digital economy, we should really mean it. When we talk about communication technologies, we should really mean it, you know. It's not a joke. Digital transformation is serious. It will leapfrog our country in so many different ways. You were just asking in terms of the agriculture sector. Have we identified all our farmers? Do we have all the farms geo-referenced? Do
That's
we
it.
understand the value chain? Where are the players located? You know, what is the output? Where's that data that drives decision making? That's what technology will do for us. Technology will facilitate, you know, or better hands-on management of the sector. And that's what we need to really bring to the table and look at. And just, hopefully these kind of discussions can spur more people thinking on how we can use technology to do things better. But the key thing is Liberians have to be involved in that technology revolution. Because if we're not, there is no sustainability, there is no downward flow to other Liberians in terms of those people in technology, the services and work that they want to buy from other Liberians. So it's really about how that money circulates in our economy, which is not really happening now from a technology perspective. And I will try to find a video also from one of the major um, technology companies in the country. The CEO, Mr. Vivian Jones, was at a program where they were launching the LPA scheme. They did the application for the LPA scheme, and his
Yeah,
commentary was very enlightening.
yeah, and again, you talk about the agriculture sector, right? So the whole idea, the president Joseph Yuma Boyka is talking about driving agriculture creating thousands of new jobs, be it for cash crops or be it from different type of crops, whether produce or whatever the case is. But you hit on a very important point. Data is what everybody looks for. Data is what attracts investors. Data is what stimulates growth at every level in the value chain. So you mentioned a question, right? Every county, we've got all these counties across the country. Who are the growers? One, what are they growing? What is their output? What are they harvesting? When you look at agriculture, you got crops that you plant, and then you got livestock, poultry. You look at the amount of poultry pots, chicken pots that are imported into this country compared to the amount of poultry farmers in the country. We could save millions of dollars on importation by just investing strategically in each of the counties. But again, you need data, and that data needs to run on a data infrastructure that is deployed across the country. Now, let's go on another point. On the data infrastructure across the country, it's not even owned by the government of Liberia and the people of Liberia. You got two mobile companies, both of them are non-Liberian companies. One MTN out of South Africa, and then you got Orange, a French-based company, the mobile arm of French Telecom. They own the telecom infrastructure that spans the width and the breadth of this country. Now, for those who are listening in the IT space, correct me if I'm wrong, data infrastructure are privately built. They are privately owned and controlled, and no one who builds and invests their money in that infrastructure is just going to open up the gates and allow other people to come in there to profit off of that infrastructure. And that's where the LTA, the regulator, is supposed to play a very important role in demanding, requiring of these mobile operators who are profiting from all of the money in our economy. That Liberian developers, software developers, and everybody else need to be able to plug into that infrastructure and share that infrastructure so they can be able to build their own businesses on that infrastructure. Because until that infrastructure is opened up to other people, it remains a toll road. If you don't pay the toll, you can't access. If the guy doesn't give you access, you can't come on the exit. And that's where Liberian companies are blocked, we're stopped, and we're hindered from growth. I was talking about the rule of law in the arrest agenda. How are we going to connect all the courts? You go for a case in Riverside. Are you going to pack the files in a basket or in a box and put it in your car and drive down to Riverside? Or is the court in Riverside going to be connected by broadband on the network infrastructure to share the file from the data center in Monrovia? Again, data ICT, but again, our Liberian company being given the opportunities to build that infrastructure across the country in the justice system. So again, it's a very important topic.
And you just touched on infrastructure. There's development, there's training, there's maintenance, there's cybersecurity. So there's just so many areas where jobs can be created, especially if we participate, and they can be sustainable too. because sometimes some of these systems are built, but because they have foreign people maintaining them, if the relationship goes sour, we lose basically everything.
We
Most
lose
times, we don't
everything.
have access to the back ends of these systems. We don't have ownership of the data. So, data ownership and privacy should be, I think there's a law or a draft of a law, but that's something that's critical that should really be given serious attention. Who owns any data of any system that the government of Liberia is using? Who owns the code that creates that system? So, we need to we meaning government, we meaning the people, we need to raise these issues and let them come to the forefront, you know, and find solutions, not just sit on there and say, oh, the people complaining again. No, you know, this is what the reality is. And
I,
then
I,
we got to start talking about the whole contracting thing. But go ahead.
yeah, but I mean, but again, I mean, before someone can bring forth a good, solution to a challenge, right? I don't like to use the P word for problem. This is a major challenge in our economy, in our society, in this country. Liberians have to be, we cannot just be people who buy tickets and go to a game and take a seat in the stand. We must be active participants on the field. This is our country. This is our nation. We must be participants. We must be players on the field. Because if we're not players on the field, then we're actually missing out in a major way. Because then what happens, we just have an export economy. What do I mean by that? We sign a World Bank loan for digitalization from all the various ministries, or let's say connecting the county service centers across the country. Let me just take that for example. How will you connect all the county service centers across the country, build software to service different things in all the different counties? You get a World Bank loan for that. There are like competent Liberian companies in the country. You mentioned Vivian Jones, Maquanta, and all of the other companies. But then that World Bank loan, we have to pay this. It's around our neck now. But then the folks who work for the World Bank in Liberia create a process where Liberian companies are invited to participate only as a formality, because you need 5 or 6 bids and you need to have Liberia participants. But then they pick up the phone and they call their friend in Europe or in Kenya or in Nigeria or South Africa and invite them to participate in the bid. And then when the bid is done, they selectively, purposefully, intentionally, and deliberately select a company for their friend from the US or from Europe or from Kenya or from Nigeria or from wherever else and give them the contract. In Liberia, and to say, well, you weren't capable, you weren't able, you didn't have the experience. This is a game. It is a game. And I think, the president and the minister of finance and all of the PPCC, director need to be intricately, directly involved. And they've got to come to the understanding of what is actually taking place. Liberians are being, we're stuck with the loans for the long term, having to pay the loans back. The folks at the World Bank are playing a game with the system. They're not giving Liberian ICT companies the fair shot of winning these contracts. But yet and still, they're bringing expats in to come and do work that Liberians are well able to do. And then it's an export economy. That money is packed up and is sent back overseas. And Liberians don't even benefit in any way, shape, or form. So that way, wealth is not even created in country to transform the lives of people. This and again, digitalization for this country, for this developing country, Liberia, this land of liberty that we love so much, is going to be in the billions of dollars for the long term. For the long term, you look at Mittal. Mittal is going to digitize. They're going to have to digitize. LEC,
The whole
the
country
energy
has
sector,
to.
the whole country is going to. I mean, and again, this falls on leadership at the highest level, from the president himself. I'm going to call him by name, Mr. President. If you're listening, this responsibility is, you bear the ultimate responsibility, along with your Vice President Jeremiah Cohn. You bear the ultimate responsibility of not understanding what is at stake here. Thousands of jobs can be created, and these are good paying jobs, high technology jobs in every county in this country that will affect the foundation of this emerging economy, of this emerging. Look at
You got
Cote
service,
d'Ivoire next door.
you
They're
got
having
service
elections
centers.
today.
You got service
Yes.
centers
I mean,
and
how are you going
counties.
to integrate them? How are you going to integrate them?
You know?
Yeah, how are you going to integrate
So
them? You need Liberian companies, and this is, it's almost like the energy sector. The energy sector is the foundation, but the ICT, that's what connects everything together. That this is the enabler to connect all aspects of the economy. Healthcare. Look at healthcare. What role can digitalization play in healthcare? Clinics,
significant,
hospitals,
significant.
patient
I
records.
gave you
Significant.
exactly patient records and being able to optimize routes for medical delivery stuff for sample. You know, you got
For
specimen,
sample,
you need
yes.
to move it. You need a technology system
Testing,
to
yes.
do that.
Yeah.
The data
Yeah.
in healthcare is huge. We
It's
just
huge.
created a software that can georeference all the different medical facilities, all the wells, and it can be an infrastructure data portal. But it can be used for everything, everywhere, but specifically for healthcare and just for the key things like health, water, all those facilities. And you can look at it and you can layer it and even tell how many hospitals, how many schools, how many clinics, how many little small medical facilities, how many pharmacies, how many diagnostics, networks are in a certain area. And that gives you an idea about how you can do development, especially if you are interested in doing development for your people. Now, if you are not, that's another thing. And you can't really argue that. But we got to go look at the reality of where the sector is today, right? Um, how much capacity we need to build, even in government. Because if we're not honest with ourselves, then we're not really be honest with the thing. There are some gaps, but those gaps can be filled because we have these multi-million-dollar projects that come in. There is no requirement for the amount of Liberians that should be employed in those. There's no requirement for Liberian companies to participate. There is no local content set, whether at 70%. There is no requirement that a Liberian firm has to be the lead in this project and go find a foreign partner or something. There has to be formulas that we can use, to be able to empower Liberian firms to be a part of this thing. And we can allow the World Bank people to say, oh, it's not in the contract. Yeah, and that's what they are saying today, because the contract that we are government established with the World Bank for some of these loans that are being, kind of implemented now, these projects, they didn't put those local content there. But does that mean this government cannot make the case? We are borrowing this money. It's not free money. We, like you said, some of us, meaning some of your younger people and the next generation, they will be the ones paying for this. And
That's
if we
exactly
can't
right.
we cannot get a hold of what we are obligated to and what they should be obligated to us with. Are they here to help develop our country, or are they just here to implement one application in a vacuum? And that's one of the biggest problems. The fundamental thing, which is identification first, is not there. Okay. We need this identification system to really be set up. There have been a lot of noise. There have been a executive order 147. There's a steering committee appointed that we haven't really seen results from. So we need to have some frank discussions about this. Hopefully, at is it next week? Yeah, next week there's a digital Liberia week that's being organized by the World Bank that will have some platform and stuff. So I encourage all Liberians to watch it to see what is being said. How does it jive with reality? What will be some of your thoughts? What will be some of your suggestions as to what direction we can go? How do we, build up our expertise here and build up the policy, because that's what drives it. That these people don't just run outside for foreign firms that they may have connection with to do that. The way they structure the contract, okay, or the requirements. They say a Liberian firm must put up $60,000, $50,000 for bid security, right? So let's say even if the bank only saying, oh, you gotta pay 10% of their money for to get you this, that's 5,000, 6,000. That company probably doesn't eat that, right?
Yeah.
They ask you for 3 years of audited financial statements. That's another place where from a small business or from a sector perspective, the government need to support some of these firms to push them to get this whole audited financial, knowing that that's what these international people will be asking for, right? Then you go on the other side and say you will have done at least 500,000, sometimes $1 million work on an annual basis for the last 3 years. How many firms in Liberia can claim that?
It's a setup.
Okay.
It's a game. That's all it is.
Maybe one. Then they add on. You might have done this project 3 times.
Yeah.
We didn't even do the project one time in Liberia.
One time. Yeah.
IT is not that because you don't do something before, that means you're just able to do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or because you haven't done that particular project, means you can't code and can't do the work to create the product. It doesn't mean that. So either some of the people writing and constructing these requirements are not IT people, or it's really just intentionally stacked against any Liberian, and they want to direct it to maybe their friends in the international sector. And that's what we have to do.
And you bring up a very good point. I mean, when you look at the requirements or the standards or specifications or whatever whatever set of words you want to apply to it that define who can participate in such a bid, this is a game. It is a game. Let me give you an example. So in the engineering space in oil and gas, for example, when you're doing, we have so many different manufacturers, be it GE, be it ABB, be it Rockwell, and Eaton, Square D, or Schneider Electric. We have what we call specifications. So when a manufacturer has a set of unique capabilities with regards to their technology on different, let's say, circuit breakers, be it for motor control, be it for variable frequency drives, and so forth and so on. What you do is you get with the engineering firm and you write those features in the specifications so that those specifications and those capabilities from that manufacturer directly prevents other companies from participating in the bid. Why? Because their equipment hasn't yet reached that level of technology. So it's almost a surety that bid package coming out for, let's say, $8 million for a data center would have the Schneider Electric gear written to these specifications that the Eaton, that the GE, that the other companies cannot meet those specifications. So that way you lock the other guys out, and then you force all the contractors to come to that manufacturer whose equipment has been specified. And there are people who are uniquely hired, trained to call on or visit these engineering firms to get those things in the specifications. Okay, this is what's happening. And the sad thing is, again, just like the energy sector, we Liberians, our leadership, Mr. President, if you are listening, Mr. Vice President, if you are listening, Mr. Minister of Finance, if you're listening, this is what's being done. We're being played simply because the right people are not participating in these discussions, and these guys are talking over your heads. They're talking over your heads, and they're setting these things up for their own companies. So that way we're left to pay the loan for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They come in, win the projects, maybe not hire a few Liberians, and then our Bureau of Immigration give them work permits to work in our country and pack up the money and ship the money overseas. This is what's happening in the digitalization sector, the technology sector, the ICT sector, the telecommunication sector is so rich for a developing country that thousands of new jobs will be created. New infrastructure needs to be built. New young people have to be trained and then need to be hired for all of these firms that are going to be set up across the country. And this is a sector that's going to translate into what? Let's bring politics into it. It's going to translate into votes. It's going to translate into votes because the people who will lose out on these jobs are these young people who will become voters in the next 4 to 5 years. They will become voters in the next 4 to 5 years for the next elections. So if the right things are not done, if the right strategies are not put in place, if the right people are not brought on the teams to sit down to participate in these meetings so that Liberian local content participation can be made from the onset into these agreements, we're going to lose out a lot. The other thing I want to highlight here, let's name and shame. We Liberians in government who have decisions, okay, we're strategically positioned to make decisions on who to get some of these projects. We just have a disdain or dislike for our own. We would prefer to go to Ghana and bring a Ghanaian firm to do a contract in the building, in the ministry, as opposed to hiring a local Liberian firm. It's deliberate. It's intentional. This needs to stop.
I can give you one direct example. One direct example.
We're killing ourselves. We're killing ourselves.
We are. We have been engaging the Liberian Land Authority. Land is one of the biggest issues we have in the country. It may be the next
chaos, the next source of chaos. Yes, exactly.
High chance that it will. We have been engaging the Liberian Land Authority. Like 2018, 2019, I think the We Are government gave this group called Medici Land Governance. They did an agreement with them to pilot and probably do 2,000 or 2,500 properties, in the country. And that's fine. Pilot, develop your system, show that you can do the work and do the work for us. We need that land cadastre. We need a land administration system. We need a land information management system. The totality, the entire ecosystem need to be managed. Fine. They failed. They had 5, 6, 7 years. They haven't done anything. Okay. We've been behind the LLA for the last 2 years. Give us the opportunity, sign an MOU with us. Let us pilot an area. Let us build this system. Zero. And every time it's like something new that they don't understand where we're coming from. They don't understand what we're talking about.
They understand. They understand. Let's name and shame Abba. I mean, let's not be politically correct.
All of a sudden we hear that they are signing an agreement with a Korean company.
There you go.
Initially in our discussion, the Korean government was bringing money. Now, this Korean company is coming to go look for money. Can we not look for money? Can we not even sacrifice ourselves and build this system and say, let's do the same PPP that you want to do with somebody else, do it with Liberians? I can't understand why we don't appreciate each other for our technical expertise, our ability to do these things, and the fact that being Liberian and doing these things will make it work. We have engaged the surveyors because the first module that we're looking at is the surveyor submission system. We have basically built that. But again, you need the legal authority, the Liberian Land Authority, to be able to collaborate with and work. You've done projects before. The source body has to be engaged when you're looking at all the different requirements and trying to satisfy them, get the policy documents to make sure you have everything perfect. You need them. You need all the different types of deeds from them. You need what kind of content has to be, the requirements in terms of content on the deed, your process flow. And if you don't have that MOU to back you, that you can engage them in this constructive manner, yes, you can build a system, but the alterations and the modifications that will have to come afterwards will be too many. Sometimes it may even break the system. So that's why that's needed. If you can give it to a foreign firm, we don't have anything in place today, give it to a Liberian firm too and say, okay, let's see what you can do. You're making all this noise. You prove yourselves. And that's the opportunity most Liberian firms are asking for. give us the chance to demonstrate we have the capability.
The thing here is this, Abba. Money change hands. Let's call it what it is. For some reason, we Liberians don't want to do business with other Liberians. This is it is a sad reality. It is a sad reality that's killing the growth of our economy.
I personally will not say all Liberians, because there have been people in this government who have been open. I don't know about the last government. I definitely don't know about Ellen government. But specifically in this government, there are some real pro-Liberian people, but they are in the minority. There are really pro-Liberian business in this government, people who want to support and engage Liberian companies to do the work that we can do, because they know at the end of the day we are paying these loans back.
That's exactly
if some of that money is not paid on the ground, I mean, even you take some of the Chinese companies that right now, Chinese people that are in the country, some of them doing labor work. Why?
Yes.
Why?
And you know that you hit on something so important. I don't know if the president, the vice president, the minister of finance, and all of these people understand. There's a game here. The guys come in, they get dressed, put on nice suits, fly in, come and sit down and have a conversation. All they want is an MOU or a contract, right? Create the image that they're competent, that they're capable, that they're able to do these things. But all they need is that piece of paper, because they can't get the funding without an agreement. So yes, we are being used. That's exactly right. We are being used and exploited because of our ignorance and lack of understanding that we are being used in this way. Because that same agreement, that same MOU given to your company, you can go right there locally to the banks, sell your idea to the banks and get the funding. And that would be a holistic Liberian solution there. The money comes from local Liberian banks.
Or even fellow Liberians. You know how many people have trouble with the land issue? I'm saying exactly here, 8 acres in Broadway where nearly 3 have been encroached upon. 1.6 of it is people who is somebody who claiming the land is there. Then there's another portion where there's some houses on there. How they got the land, how they came there to build, nobody knows. So
and the thing is this, Abba. So let's talk about this technology space in the land issue. I think there's a general lack of understanding, right? They don't understand the role that third-party contractors like your company play to feed, right? Because if the cadastre is created, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. If the cadastre is created by the land commission, so that's the data center where all of the data need to come in. Then you, as a third-party contractor, be authorized by the land commission to go and do this work and do what? Upload the data and put it where? In the land cadastre, so that everybody has access to it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay?
No, you're right.
That's it. So they don't understand that this is not a one-person thing. You create, you can get one company to build the cadastre, the data center, whatever the case is, and then you authorize other technology-based companies as certified contractors of the land commission. And then private Liberians who have challenges with their land will contract your company to go and do work for them and upload that data into the system that can be used by the court system to make sure that these people get their land back correctly. So I don't know whether there's a process flow, lack of understanding or not, or just pure, incompetence or lack of ignorance. I don't know. I mean,
it's just like you sitting in the back there with us as we're doing this. So in my case, we had to set the example, and this shows how an effective dispute resolution system can be built.
That's exactly right.
You're going to do the investigative survey. You come back, you give the points, we upload the points, and that's what we did for my property. We upload the points and illustrate the property. Okay, my deed was from 1980. This person deed from 2000. So my deed is the older deed.
That's exactly right.
I'm the older deed, right? My property is clearly laid out. The person overlap is there. The other people encroaching is there. I can share the image if you guys want to see it. But it's just so, well, for my mind, it's simple. but maybe for other people it's complex. But these are opportunities for us to resolve a lot of these issues, you know, where it could be binding, making it binding for some things to happen. But we cannot let this land thing go on and on. If these people can be very successful, I'm happy because it helps me too as a landowner. It helps other people as a landowner, right? But when you know you have the capability to do what's being asked, what's necessary, and you are probably one of the major knowledgeable people about the entire land
People
sector, where it's
in that
from
tech,
the engaging
in that space, yeah.
the lowest, exactly lowest person to the highest people, and also, okay, what you bring to the table in terms of understanding how the courts work, how LRA work, that integration with national
Hmm.
identification and with the land authority. You know, you got to bring all those four pieces together. Nobody coming from Korea or India will just get that right away, you know. So these are some of the things that we look at and we push, but unfortunately there's pushback or there's just absolute or stonewall, like, you know, we know what you're talking about.
I think the general challenge here, if I'm wrong, let somebody who's listening, somebody who's on the Liberia side, Monrovia side, you know, I mean, technology is something that scares a lot of people, especially people who are from the older generation who have not truly adapted to plug into and use technology. Technology is an integration. It is a tool that integrates. You just made mention, right? So when you talk about the Ministry of Justice, the Land Commission, LRA, I mean, everything, the archives, everything, the technology that you guys offer will be able to integrate and move information between these various entities, the departments, ministries, in a seamless fashion. So one of the challenges that exists is that we have this mental block that we Liberians have not yet grown. We have not yet elevated to the level of actually doing these things. And we've got this challenge of accepting the fact, easily accepting the fact that expatriates, foreigners can do these things better than us. And this is where I firmly believe this challenge is. And I think the president himself, the vice president, the two people who actually sit at the apex of the organogram for the leadership of this country need to be the ones highlighting this issue, mandating this issue that Liberians be given first choice, first opportunity in implementing these projects. Because how then are Liberians going to become more experienced? Who better understands the
Exactly.
working of the government of Liberia? Who better understands
We
some
should
guy from Korea who comes off the plane that you got to teach him, educate him, show him what to do? It's a sad thing.
it's very sad. It's
You're gonna
very
bring a
sad.
guy from you're gonna bring a company from Ghana. So you got your $20,000 kickoff of they were put in some Ghanaian bank, and you put the guy on the plane and you bring the guy to Ghana. Now you're gonna teach the guy how the Ministry of Health works with the Ministry of with the different hospitals and how the ministry. You're gonna have to teach the guy 3 months all of that, whereby you have competent Liberian companies in country that could do this integration in shorter time at far less cost. But simply because you didn't get a kickback, you resist your own people and you give it to somebody else who packs the money and haul the money out. This is not right. It's not fair. We're
That's what
killing
really,
ourselves.
really,
We're
really is.
hindering
Really,
ourselves. We're preventing our growth, our development, and our economic prosperity and expansion. We're killing ourselves. We truly are. And the technology space is so important. It's so important. It's so critical. And I think, again, before you come on to talk about this area survey in the technology, just imagine what this would do for the agriculture sector. Just imagine what this would do if the Ministry of Agriculture contracts your company as an authorized third-party contractor to go and survey rubber farms across the country and mandates all rubber farms need to contract your company, right, to survey their farms so that the government of Liberia can have, and through the Ministry of Agriculture, can get a total land coverage or land acreage of
guess what?
grown planted rubber. for
we can make it
translate into
simple.
production. Yeah,
We don't have to physically go there to
that's
do the
my
full
point.
survey. Give us the coordinates, or we can come and collect the coordinates.
But what I'm saying, that all that you need is that the Ministry of Agriculture just needs to sign an MOU with you, giving you the authorization and saying this is our third-party certified authorized contractor that can provide this service in the agriculture sector, so that you guys at the ministry can have the data. So when somebody wants to come and build a rubber processing plant, he will know strategically where to put the rubber processing plant, because the data is now there from your company to the ministry, where the largest concentration of rubber farms are where they are. And then the president now can say that it's okay, now Liberia is producing X amount of tons of rubber collectively with Firestone and all the other growers. So this thing, I mean, technology plays a very, very important role. But again, technology, let me end on that. I know I talk a lot, but that's okay. I think one of the challenges here, Ava, you're laughing at me. I know you know how I think. But that's okay.
I know how you think. My brother.
When technology, to some degree, one of the challenges that I've noticed, I've learned in my career dealing with Liberians, is that when you start talking about a technology or talking about an area that you have greater, better, deeper, wider, higher expertise in, Liberians become, the folks who are responsible for that, they become very uncomfortable. They become very, very insecure, and they become very, very challenged.
For them to do that. Look, most of the Liberians out there who are highly qualified, they don't want government job. They just want to support. Look, in the agriculture sector, the whole drone capability, you can monitor, you can collect data, the geospatial and the real soil data, the plant data. You can determine plant health. You can help with spraying insecticide or pesticide, or what do you call the other one that help the plants do, fertilizer. All of those things you can do it so much more efficiently. So the fact that we shun some of these capabilities and we don't want to employ them or implement them, is like, and every time, you hear our first excuse about no money, but you see money being spent on some things that may not have the similar impact or may not take us along our development trajectory. But coming back to the point, like Jimmy just finished this person has 10 acres in a blue rectangle here. I have 8 acres, because of precision, we go to like 5 digits. We're not rounding, so it's 7.95321 here in the red. And this is the overlapping area, the yellow, which is 1.6 acres that they're claiming on the Mount property. Then at the same time, there's the edge of this house that's not in that property, and these 3 other houses here that are encroaching on the property. So this land issue needs to be resolved, and it can be resolved. It also has significant revenue implications if we do it the right way. There's a lot of untaxed property all over the country, and that can generate huge revenue for Liberia to do the things we need to do. It's just realistic. If you own property, you're supposed to pay taxes on it. Sometimes people don't even know the taxes they're supposed to pay. Sometimes they don't even know how to declare. So information about what people need to do also need to be forthcoming. Some ministries, some agencies try to educate the customer, the taxpayer on some of these things, but it's challenging. They need to be, more effective on doing stuff like that. So, we just hope more people can get involved in this thing and want our country to move forward in a certain way, want other Liberians to participate along with them. It's not easy, and sometimes people do feel insecure, but the only way we can move this country forward if we integrate and work together, because there are a lot of opportunities that we can work together where we bring in our best and brightest that are all over the world, and many of them are right here in Liberia, but because of whatever reasons, they are being sidelined. They are not allowed to get involved in the development process, or even if they're in a private sector area to prosper. Some people try to limit them. So, It's a tough thing, but we need to find solutions to these things. We need to continue to speak about it. We need to build a critical mass of information, of facts that shows, oh, this from I'm thinking about doing analysis from 2006 to present on all the different technology projects that were led, who received those projects, what were the amount, what is the current state of those projects today, or based on previous time, what was the expectation, how long was it like? Because typically these technology projects are supposed to be there. You can always refresh the technology or maybe change it or stuff, but when you implement these things, their functionalities will be for extended periods of time and change the workflow, impact the people, and be able to make them more efficient, more productive. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way.
I think, Abba, I think one of the challenges here, I will go back to that point. I don't think that just how the energy sector was, and then light was brought to that sector, and then transformation started happening and stuff like that. The ICT, telecommunication, digitalization, fintech sector, I don't think our leaders truly understand the role it plays, or it has to play, or it must play in the transformation of this economy, job creation at all levels. I don't think there's a general understanding. I'm willing to have a deep discussion, because if people truly understood that, I don't think some of the decisions that are being made will be made. I mean, people make decisions based on what they know and that which they understand about what they know. So if the limitation is there in either the knowledge or the understanding of that which they know, then the resulting decisions will be flawed, or there will be shortcomings. Let me prove the point. Look at Mittal Steel. Look at Mittal. Let's just think about how much money Mittal has invested in the pelletization process and everything else, the new power plant they're building to process, add value to the ore. As a project manager guy who understands this, just think about how many third-party contractors they're going to bring in to maintain and keep that operation going, to keep it profitable. How many Liberian third-party contractors are going to be brought in to participate in that? Very few. There's no way someone can take
I will give another example.
Invested in a power plant, and then you just sit there, agree to that, and then keep your people on the outside. And this guy would bring a whole bunch of third-party guys from India, and then our immigration department would again give them work permits that they would take all their salary and export the money. And whereby there are Liberian contractors there, and we're not giving them, and there's so many Liberian electricians and everybody, and we're not giving them the opportunity to be third-party contractors to Mittal that's putting billions in and taking our iron ore out. How can we not understand that process? That's my point.
Let me give you another example, right? Based on what you're talking. I go to Kenya, I go to Tanzania. I cannot fly or drone there. Not even, on a recreational basis. Let move before I would say it be on a commercial basis, right? But people can come here to this country from anywhere. That's why one of the guys who fly drone are complaining. All Mittal Steel work they bring is foreign people. They want to do a drone the other day, bathygraphic drone survey of underwater stuff. We apply for it, no response, nothing, no feedback.
Yep.
Right.
They're not going to get
another group came to do Africa Energy they want to put like 250 maybe more megawatts on the St. John River at different points.
Cataracts. On the cataracts. We call them cataracts. Yeah.
Okay. We applied, we won the first stage and was in final, right? Maybe I'll get a teaser to say your year over me, but you're getting win.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Now the call. Yeah.
And then what happens? Zero. We just got dismissed. We asked, help us understand why we can't win this bid. What is the issue? They refuse to even communicate with us. So those are the kind of challenges that Liberian firms are facing. And unfortunately, it will be there until there's some affirmative action from the people who are in power. I will give you another example again based on what you just said about the different kind of opportunities that can be in these kind of situations. So let me share this call for expression of interest from what they call the people named Ivanhoe Atlantic. We know that HPX, they're coming, they want to invest in our country. So look at the different jobs that they're talking about, right? Geotechnical investigation, catering and food services, medical services, security services, supply and storage of petroleum products, metallurgical laboratory services, topographical service, clean and waste management services, in-country logistics and transport services, customs clearance and forwarding services, stevedoring services, health, safety and equipment services, environmental and social impact assessments, civil and earthworks construction. At this stage, Liberian firms should be trying to work together to see how they can build a mass and collaborate to win some of these contracts. Because this is open to us. We have to take that position of partnership and collaboration. But we can still compete. But let's try to partner and collaborate that we meet the minimum requirements for some of these positions and be able to get them. Because we can't let them excuse Liberian firms are not qualified or competent to win these bids.
On that point, I disagree. I have to respectfully disagree.
Well, that's the beauty of freedom of speech.
And my point is this. My point is this. From the onset, from conception of this whole Ivanhoe agreement.
On our part, I totally agree with you. You got to know where you're going, but go ahead.
The president who was sitting there in the room should have made it clear with no ambiguity that the Liberianization process will be fully implemented because that's a national interest issue. I'm as the president of Liberia, this is the people's natural resources. I respectfully agree that you need all of these services to effectively operate. However, Liberians must be given first opportunity. So even if there are no Liberian firms and you want to bring in a foreign firm, a Liberian firm must hold the majority stake, 51% of that joint venture company that will be created to provide these services, so that Liberians play a major role. Because at the end of the day, like I said, this is a game. It is a game. You want Liberia to participate in the bid to say that you give Liberians the opportunity. But there's an intent, it's deliberate, it's purposeful, it's already planned out that you only want them to participate, but you're not going to win because you've already decided who the winner is. Because again, it's the same thing in oil and gas. People think, right now we're signing all of these production sharing contracts. People don't understand that when you're doing either oil and gas, be it on land or offshore, the money is not in the oil. The money is in the services aspect of getting or producing the oil. That's where the money is. All of these services, you look at all of these services.
That's to feed the people on the rig.
That's exactly right.
For the people on the rig. Those are big
That's
money.
exactly right. The same thing happened when Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf got on the helicopter with Ambassador Greenfield, and they flew out to the Chevron platform. And when she got there, she noticed that there were no Liberians, they were all Ghanaians, because they forgot to understand that the services on the platform are part of the contract that you didn't even review, understood, or nor sign off. You just initiated and it was written where it would be subbed out to somebody else. So again, if you don't have the right people in the room, being part of the committee who truly understand the business, then whatever lack of knowledge, understanding that you take into the meeting, you're going to sign a bad agreement. Guaranteed, you're going to sign a bad agreement, and you can't blame a company for being responsible for something that you as the president should have been responsible for. This is my point. All of this should have been done from the onset. Liberian companies first. Why? Because we have a Liberianization policy. Liberians first. Why? Because we want Liberian participation from the onset. Even if
because it's our country.
because it is our resources and we want the wealth to be here. The money is not in the iron ore. Understand this. The money is not in the iron ore. Do you know how much electricity, energy that Ivanhoe will need to run that facility? That's where the real money is. Do you understand how much food and everything else that will have to be done, the services aspect? That's where the real wealth can be created. We're not talking about making money. We're talking about creating wealth so that that wealth becomes part of the foundation of the building of this country, improving lives, transforming the economy. You see, and you got the wrong people. I'm not saying that they're bad people, but they've got limited knowledge. And then they have limited understanding on the limited knowledge that they have. And they take this limitation into a meeting unprepared, ill-prepared, not prepared, to sit with people who came fully prepared. What do you expect the outcome of the meeting to be? A flawed, bad, terrible agreement. And Liberians will be the losers of it. We would end up being on the losing end. And what Ivanhoe would do, they would bring in all of their own third-party contractors, pay Liberians $300 or $400 a month, whereby they're paying the expats $5,000 and $6,000 a month, $60,000 or $75,000 a year, and pull the money out. And pull the money out.
I mean, I'm happy that the agreement has been ratified because I believe we need a multi-real user and stuff like this. But I truly believe that a country plan should be reflective of Liberianization, like you said. The country plan should be reflective of clear local content. And hopefully,
but it is not. It is not the response at this. It is not the responsibility of Ivanhoe.
No. When I say the country plan, it has to be approved by our country. It has to be approved by our country. So they have to make sure that that information, that content, that preference for Liberian workers and Liberian, how should I say, Liberian content should be there. Many of these concessions you go to, then you go to B Mountain, you will not find Liberians in all the high positions like they're supposed to be. Progressive elevation. So all of these things tie in the technology piece, technology within these individual firms, because what they do, they see what government do with their own citizens. What should inspire them to do anything different for us? Nothing.
That's exactly right.
So we need that thing to change. We need this whole technology landscape to change. We definitely elevate this issue until it's in front of the president to say, look, you talk about a digital transformation. You talk about the 10,000 students in terms of those 10,000 people that were supposed to be trained. Where are they today? How many of those 10,000 people are in the technology sector? How many of them got jobs? We have to think holistically, like you said, from the beginning at the table. For every contract, there should be something for capacity building. There should be something for the students. There should be something for job creation. There should be something for Liberian companies. It should be spelled out. There is no reason why you can't really break down every aspect of every contract to ensure that there's empowerment built in for Liberians. There's involvement built in. There's the potential for them to even get rich. Nothing wrong with other Liberians getting rich. But some people count each other money. We should not be the way that we operate, especially the people who are gatekeepers, the people who are in government. They should be supportive of Liberians achieving and being successful.
Again, like I said, I mean, I think the only political point I would make on this for those who are listening is that all of this would translate into either gaining votes or losing votes. The young people's future is in the balance here, because the young people are going to be the ones who are going to be affected for the long term. You're 18, you're 20, you're 21, you're 25, you're 30. These concession agreements are 30-year concession agreements. So if you're 20 years old now, last time I checked, 20 plus 30, that's 50. You'll be 50 years old and the concession will still be there exploiting our natural resources. And if the right plans and strategies are not put into place today, You will be an old man still impoverished in your own country, and your natural resources help to build another country. And this is what we're talking about. So, the president, the vice president, the minister of finance, and all of these people bear direct responsibility on how these agreements are made. If you don't understand, pick up the phone, look on Facebook, find the right people who you can talk to, gain some knowledge and some understanding, and take it into the meeting. These things have to be decided before, not after. You cannot leave building schools, clean water to companies. No, that's not their responsibility. It's not their citizens.
And that's
the guys
why
are capitalists.
some of the presidents in Africa are saying, give us the money, we'll build our own schools, we'll build our own hospital, but give us what we deserve, others these deals for the fullest. Don't come say you build school for and build a little shed for our people. We don't need that. So hopefully, for this person question, how can I?
Yeah. No, okay. Before you answer this guy's question,
how can I find a original land deed and uncover the truth about property that was only owned by 3 brothers who are all deceased? Now, children of one of the brothers are claiming ownership. Well, if you said it was jointly owned and they are all deceased, but now one of the brother's children claiming ownership, then you got to either go to the archives, which is Sindra. Unfortunately, I believe something happened recently with a system where they lost all data that supposedly they had done. They had scanned all the ODs to see if there's a copy of the deed. They can do searches for you, but the thing I don't understand is, I don't know whether the search is indexed or not, because they make it sound like the search is manual, like they only just scan those things and have it there. They gotta go check what a microfiche machine or something for each one and go through. So I don't know what that project that was supposed to be able to scan all of these and archive them, what it did. But again, this is the point right here why no deed should be archived. There should be nothing about archivable deed, because that property is living, is on this ground in this 43,000 square miles, and somebody will want to go there and claim it and live on it. So that deed is always alive. That perspective has to change. We can always have the records there for deed, and that's why the cadastral is so important, and the technology of it. Liberians possess that capability. They possess that technology to make this happen. They just need a collaboration and a partnership. It's better to give them the opportunity with this memorandum of understanding. It's not a contract. And they go fail, you can say, oh, the people that may be more, they say they want to be a part of the field. Yeah, the Korean people there, they don't pay the system. That's fine. Okay, that's competition. But you have to give Liberians the opportunity to either demonstrate or to fail. There is no way, just like you have a child, you don't give your child the opportunity to fail. You want them to be very successful, but they will not always be successful. But you have to give them those things they call success factors. The nurturing, the opportunity to learn, the materials that they need to learn, the time that they need to learn. You think if you're working your children 24 hours a day, they will have any time to go to school or learn. That's why we cry for the children in the street selling market, because the kids need to learn. So there's just so many different things that having technology. I say sometimes someone like a kid with a bucket on his head, that could be one of the top future engineers in the world. It could be this, if given the opportunity to just sit down and do homework and learn. We got untapped geniuses in our country that we're not even trying to identify. There's no aptitude test for some of these young children that could just be so, from an early age, they can just specialize, knowing that they just have the ability for math or they have the ability for science. And sometimes some kids know some things from before. I mean, you can see some of these young geniuses they were born with it. So it's possible some of our children are born with those same gifts. But we have to make the effort to explore, to see it. And technology, again, can help us do that, can hasten this process of education.
What comes to mind as you talk about the young people who are street hawkers. Their parents put them out to be street hawkers, to go between cars, selling coconuts, selling whatever the case is, to for daily living, for the household, for the home. Why is it? Lack of jobs and more opportunities for the families, for the parents. because if the parents were able to get jobs, they wouldn't put the street. They wouldn't. No self-respecting parent who's earning to cover his rent and his livelihood for his household, for his home, for his family, would punish his children by going to sell on the street. Even if they go on the sell, if he puts them on the street to sell, he wouldn't put them on the street during the week. He would probably tell them that's your Saturday responsibility. You get my point, for your lunch money for the week. You get my point.
That's a fact.
Okay. But the thing is, again, as we talk about this technology space, we have a very, very good ambassador to Asia, to Japan. What's his name? His Excellency. What's the guy's name? He came in, I think, third or something like that during the elections. Okay, what are we leveraging, right? What are we? How are we leveraging?
Oh, Appleton.
Appleton is in Asia, there in Japan. I mean, you know that. I mean, tablets today, right? Tablets are being made where? Tablets are being made in China. They're being made in Japan, South Korea. So how are we leveraging our bilateral relationship with these governments that have manufacturing companies that make tablets? And how can we get 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 tablets into our school system so that we can help our young people to adapt to the technology? How are we doing that? What role is Libtelco as the local telecom operator working to connect the schools to the internet backbone so that when these tablets comes, these schools can be connected and get the young people plugged into technology? You get my point, okay? Because all of this stuff, you cannot look at it from as one chain, one link in the chain. You got to look at the entire chain, and then how Liberian companies can be contracted with Libtelco to build the IT infrastructure in each of these schools to create more jobs, and how can government make the investment in the education sector as it relates to technology to fund these small Liberian-owned IT or ICT contractors to build out the IT infrastructure in all of the schools, be it government schools, be it private schools, whatever it is. Those are thousands of new jobs that can be created in this technology space. So my question is, how are we leveraging that? If Mr. Appleton is listening, Mr. Ambassador, what is your answer to this? Can we get tablets for the schools? Don't bring computers, because everything nowadays can be done on the tablets. Students can sit on the tablet and do different lessons, and all they need to do is to be connected into the internet. The managing director of Libtelco, what's your role in this technology space? You operate the People's Telecom. The People's Telecom is Libtelco. What are you doing in this technology space for fintech, for connectivity? You get my point. To play a role in the arrest agenda, to create jobs. I mean, this thing is all connected. Ivanhoe is coming. Who's providing the internet? Are they going to bring in a Starlink? Are they going to get it from Libtelco? Is Libtelco going to provide them the backbone they need, or are they going to go out and get a Starlink or they're going to go to Orange, or are they going to go to MTN? So all of these things all play a role. Who's going to build out the IT infrastructure for Ivanhoe? Is it going to be given to Libtelco to do, or is it going to be subbed out to a private company coming from abroad? All of these things are holistic. They're all connected, and this is why this discussion today is so important. I think anybody who wants to call in, let them call in. Put a question up on the board here.
We need some input. We know that technology experts out there who know this stuff better than us. We know there are other passionate people who really want to see these things change in Liberia. So join us. Call in. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll be glad to have you call. Receive your call. Oh.
And the thing is,
you see the story now. The family has changed the deed because the father was the last to die and had a joint deed. So then you really have to go and see what documentation was used to change the deed, try to find that original deed. And that's the fact, though. Just earlier today, I was discussing with some people how families, when they come to property, when they come to inheritance, they just screw each other over with no conscience. And then how can you say you family? You're not family when you're doing these things to people that got your blood. It just sometimes it's so sad, so unfair that we can settle some of these things through dialogue, through just being reasonable and say, well, that my pa brother, son, daughter, that my pa sister. So let all of us try and work together to see how we can do this as family. For people just wanting to just be about themselves all the time, they are the one, and most times things will not work like that. So hopefully,
it doesn't have a successful nor a fruitful end. But again, I mean, call in. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there in Liberia. There are people in the U.S. who are looking to go to Liberia, invest in the ICT, telecom, fintech sector, create jobs, build their own companies, provide services. Hotels need to be connected. Hotels need to be connected to fintech. Hotels need to be connected for people to be able to pay with their debit cards. All of those opportunities are there. But again, Starlink is pouring into the country. People are buying Starlink. Why? Because local operators are not reliable. But again, even if you deploy a Starlink, you need a local Liberian contractor to build a Wi-Fi network for your hotel, run Cat 5e cable through your hallway to put access points so all of your guests in your room can have access
break
to
it down, break it down.
You got smart TVs for streaming coming into all the rooms that will connect on Wi-Fi. So you still need Liberian contractors. So there are tremendous amount of jobs, even in IT, ICT, telecom, in the hotel sector, the tourism sector. Then you go to the courts. You still need. So again, Liberians are looking at places that they can contribute, they can invest, they can participate. And I think the ICT sector is one of those sectors that's truly going to grow. It is growing. But again, Liberians need, the bully pulpit, the president and the vice president to drive these things when these big companies are coming in for local Liberian content, so that Liberians can be on the forefront of providing all of the services, including ICT services, telecom services, not just the private companies. I mean, not just the MTN and Orion, but Liberian companies themselves, so that wealth can stay in country. Can still in country. Okay. So our numbers are on there. Please feel free to call. Yeah, 346-546-4589. Yes. Feel free to call me on that number directly if you're in the US. Feel free to call Ava. He's on the Liberia side on WhatsApp.
I'm on WhatsApp. You can call me.
Yeah.
Or if you look, you know what?
I'll put you on speaker.
I'm a local number.
Yeah. But I think again, I think that's a big issue. That's a big opportunity in our country, and we're not exploiting it. And we Liberians, we really. But again, from the political side, I know you're a political animal by nature. But I think this lack of thinking and lack of leadership in job creation in the various sectors of the economy, especially in the energy sector and the telecommunications sector, I think it's going to translate into either gaining votes or losing votes in the next 4 years for elections. Whoever creates the most amount of jobs or presents a plan, a strategy as to how to create jobs in the energy sector and in the telecommunication, ICT, fintech sector for the young people of this country is going to be that plan, that strategy, be it practical in whatever way, shape, or form, is going to transform or translate into votes, because jobs need to be created. It's not just saying we're going to tell all the companies to change, we're going to review all mineral agreements.
No. If the Ministry of Labor were doing the work, there are already some jobs that Liberians can get to in this country. If the government can do its work in terms of enforcing liberalization policy, not even taking any affirmative action at this point, just saying, look, this sector is dedicated for Liberians, don't operate in it, and let Liberians
and then have enforcement, and then have enforcement, and have enforcement, and have enforcement, and have enforcement. Enforcement. That's the key. Enforcement. So I mean,
is not one time you go do spot check or you go do raid. That's not enforcement. Enforcement is a disciplined, intentional, and consistent activity to ensure that particular policy stays in effect. So until people can do that, okay. But if if nobody will call, we can try to go to our closing statements and see. Hopefully next time we'll be able to share a different perspective on something else that people want to participate on. But a lot of these topics sometimes, a lot of people are hesitant to call in, to weigh in, to share their own ideas. But we really do want a give and take. If you're out there, you got a different view, you feel everything is great, the
No, I think
technology sector is
I think some I think sometimes the reason people don't call in is because they're absorbing all of it. I think when people truly understand and identify with the topic that we're discussing, be it at the Liberia level, the U.S. level, Liberia want to go home to invest. The diaspora is primed to invest in the country. Most people need direction. Look at the young guy we had the last week, who was talking about this soap. He got his farm on the Buchanan Highway, and he was not even born in Liberia. He was not even born in Liberia. But this young guy had his uncle.
now
And his
2 weekends ago, like Gabby.
2 weeks, okay, 2 weekends, yeah. And he
Yeah,
came on. I mean, that guy
George
packed up
Carnell.
and went home. Yeah, exactly. That young man went home, and look where he is today. He invested his time. He made some mistakes. He ended up hiring a guy, and took him a while for him to learn that the supervisor he had on the farm couldn't read nor write, but it was okay. He learned that, he took back in the bucket, he moved, but look where he is today compared to where he started from. So the technology sector is very, very strategic. Put that comment from John Monyu on there. John Monyu is saying something here. He said the president needs to appoint a technology czar, someone who will hasten the adoption of technology throughout government, specifically AI, a technology that will speed up productivity.
You're on point.
I don't.
No. Well, but go ahead, give you a disagreement because I agree with this, but I will try to explain what this current situation is.
Well, okay, so I'm not saying AI is a bad thing, right? But the technology czar position, I'm in agreement with that. Okay, I'm in agreement with that. But again, it's not about getting a dog. If you're going to get a watchdog, right? If you're going to get a dog to protect your property, you want to get a dog that has teeth, and you want to give that dog the authority and the power to attack and to bite. You get my point? So don't just get a technology czar just to fill a position. You want to get somebody who you will give him full power and authority to go and enforce and implement and drive the technological interconnection and integration of government ministries, and then be able to push. Yeah, I mean, don't just get a dog just to bark all day and can't bite.
I know. Remind me of my little ducks. But anyway, what you think?
Yeah, there you go, your little dog that you carry around. He thinks he likes to believe that he's a pit bull, but you see.
Oh man, that dog used to scare me. That dog used to scare me with the people joining the community. I know dogs don't have a good idea about size or something. I don't know. Seriously.
It's called a Napoleon complex. It's called a Napoleon complex. Go ahead.
There's a chief information officer for the Republic of Liberia. His name is Sheikh Sharif. He's actually under the Ministry of Posts or Telecom, which is messed up, right? He needs to be in a mansion, like you said, with the teeth, with the full authority of the president, all these kind of issues. He can sit down with the president. Okay, this man did talk to you. This is the issue. These World Bank contracts that are working for us, we need more Liberians here. The tech sector, we need to support. We need to do this. Look, Mr. President, there's a national identification thing that OSD or whatever company that was not a contract would need to find, or probably a Liberian led or just Liberian consortium that can build this. Because we have many Liberians who have dealt with this whole biometrics and all that kind of stuff, can build systems who can do this, Mr. President. He can be willing to even put his job on the line for some of these things. So until he gets to that point where he can get, oh man, the man who asking me question here, then you calling me when you know I stay on the show. Maybe you want to talk, like getting the opportunity. But we're not coming to focus on his private here. We're having the show. Daniel. Hello?
Yeah,
yeah, we're on the show. What you got to say?
I was calling to ask a question.
All right, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, so you guys are saying the right things this morning, but my question is, first of all, I have a poultry farm in Liberia, Birmingham, and I've been facing a lot of issues with fever.
But let me ask you first, why is it a but? You say we're talking good thing. If you say but, then you must say some of the bad thing we're talking. Just make your point.
No, I like what you guys are saying.
Mm-hmm.
That enforcement is the thing that our government is not doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was asking a question about honesty.
Okay.
Because most of us want to retire and come back home.
Man.
Testing the waters, opening businesses.
Right.
So I have a poultry farm right now with close to 1,000 layers.
Okay.
And this honesty is so high that the eggs production has reduced. And I'm thinking maybe I need to put a camera in there.
Not maybe you need. You should. Look, let's be honest. For me, I always tell people I don't trust anybody. I got degree of confidence in people. If you have already had a theft experience, you already have a theft experience. So you know it's not going to stop until you do something.
What are you waiting for?
You got to put it there. Period. You know, and some people say trust but verify. Yeah, like government can trust and verify because they got the time to go after the fact and verify. I don't have the time to verify, so I'm not trusting. I'm giving degree of confidence. You know, if you are proving yourself to a certain level, yes, bam, we can deal on whatever level. If you haven't, I'm not gonna go there with you. It's just simple. So if you know, and a lot of people in the farming sector, in these farm chat rooms, they complain. People do this, people do that, people steal all the time, people are lazy, people don't want to work. You just got to keep pushing yourself to do the thing the way you want to do it, Daniel. You can't say, oh, I'm thinking about putting camera when you know the people already stealing. And you got to quietly do that thing until you bust the first few of them that are stealing. Then you let them know. Because people will adjust. When they know that camera is there, they will adjust. If they try to break that camera or cut the wires, you put the wires back again, because most likely that's what they will do. They try to compromise in a system.
And the first set of cameras I did, the first set of cameras were stolen.
Then you got to give one person that responsibility for that camera.
No. Let me, Daniel, how are you? Let me give you the solution, what I believe it to be. What you do is you give an incentive as a bonus for the first person who's caught. You give 1 full month's salary for the first person who gets caught stealing. Anybody who report with full evidence and the camera or using their smartphone to record the person, you give that person a full bonus. You see, when you turn your employees on each other to be security on each other, and then you attach a financial incentive to it, it gives a motivation. You get my point. You see, if you want people, you cannot decide for people to be honest, because honesty is an individual decision. You get my point. You are a businessman. You've invested your money. So you've got to make this decision not with your heart, but with your head, because this is your money that is at stake. Your production is not reducing. Your production is increasing, but your recovery is reducing. You get my point. You follow what I'm saying? So what you do, you give a 1 month salary bonus to anyone who catches someone who steals, and you will see what will happen. All of a sudden, people will stop stealing, because everybody wants that bonus for the next month. If you're paying them $250 a month, that means that person will get $500 for that month because you caught somebody. That's how you do it. So let the security be security on everybody. Let everybody be security on the next person. That's my point. And then what you do, you can also build into your whole production operation every month an incentive for meeting production quotas. One of the challenges we face as Liberian investors is that we learn certain things in the US, and somehow on our flights on the way back to Liberia, we forget to implement these things we've learned here. You get my point? If you've got 30, 40, 50 people working with you, working for you as a team at your poultry, what is the incentive for them as employees to maintain production or achieve production or surpass production for the first month? Are you giving them an incentive, or are you just paying them their salary? So when people are incentivized to perform, amazingly, they will go the extra mile because they are in expectation of what? Of an incentive. You get my point? Okay. So if you're supposed to get 1,000 eggs every month, and you say, look, the quota for this month is 1,000 eggs. And these are the KPIs, right? That's how you guys call it, ABA in product management.
Yeah, key performance
indexes. So you give them five KPIs that we have to meet every month. Break them into teams. So once those 5 KPIs are met, including your production quota, then everybody gets an extra $25 on their paycheck. So now people are incentivized to meet the KPIs, which translates into more profitability for your company, for your farm. And it keeps the people working together. You get my point? You see, because if they only see you as benefiting from their hard work, then there's no motivation, there's no incentive for them to put every extra effort into what you're doing. Because the mentality would be that we're making Mr. Dyer rich. We're making Mr. Dyer rich. With my hard work, I'm waking up in the morning, I'm walking under the ring, I go in there. That man, he can't eat his big guy, he's sitting in the back, my children are in school. This is my point. So you've got to, and again, that's why when we work on the US side, we have monthly meetings, cadence calls. We work as a team. All of those expertise from the US, you've got to bring it back because you are a private investor. This is your money. This is not government money. You got to show a profit. Government doesn't have to show a profit. So you got to really put things into this. That's my advice to you. That's my recommendation.
Thank you. You got enough free advice. Next time you got to bring in money.
I know.
Okay. So thank you. We'll talk later. We'll talk offline too. No problem. Yes. Yeah. So I think it has been a good show. I think we brought some attention to this issue of the technology space and the position Liberians are in. We even extended it into other areas in terms of Liberianization and more local content in concessions and stuff like that. So, if you got your parting words that you want to share with our people, please do so, and then I can come in and we can close the show.
Well, once again, Ava, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on the show today. Business Talk. We're here talking business, not politics, but sometimes we link it to politics. The topic today, job creation and opportunities for Liberian small businesses, SMEs, and Liberian contractors in the ICT telecom space in Liberia as it relates to job creation, contracts, World Bank contracts that are coming in. It's a very, very important topic. I think this is where Liberia is going to grow, expand in the digital space. And I think young Liberians want to participate in this space, but leadership from government, the president, the vice president, and those who are signing these World Bank contracts and these foreign investment contracts for mineral exploitation in country need to truly focus on Liberianization, Liberian participation, or local content participation for Liberian contractors in the ICT space. I think also the telco, the national telecom operator, needs to play a very leadership role, strong leadership role in this sector because they're the national operators. They're the ones who can connect. They're the ones who can connect different government ministries, and this needs to be looked at as an integrated approach. And I think that this sector is going to also translate into both jobs and into votes in the next coming elections, because young people are more adaptable. Young people, you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, and everything that surrounds the young people, it's all in this space. Mobile money, fintech, all of it is all in this space, and it's something that's adaptable to the young people. So I think job creation, opportunities, Liberianization, diaspora investment in the technology space is so critical for our country's growth and development and job creation. So thank you so much for all of those who participated with questions, those who viewed and looked at us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you so much for participating in the show today. Ava, over to you.
Before I go, I will share some words from Mr. Vivian Jones. He was at the launching for the LPS scheme. Their company implemented that project. So let's see a few excerpts from him, because it's important that people see what some Liberian companies are doing. And let me know if you can hear sound, please, because sometimes the sound doesn't come through. Let's start from somewhere here about the 1 minute mark. Developing a COVID end-to-end data management solution. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? We've also deployed an online management learning system for the Ministry of Education in 156 public high schools throughout Liberia in all 15 counties. The solution brings learning resources to students with no access to the internet. We are here to make a difference. Our partnership with the CSA ensures long-term sustainability with deployment across the 15 counties. Using biometric and mobile technology, Retirement is introducing a solution that eliminates fraud, introduces efficiency, and ensures data security at every level. We are also, by extension, playing a major role in reducing the use of cash, goods, and services. If a vendor has products to sell or services to offer, the LPA platform is a bridge to reaching customers, specifically civil servants. I would like to thank the Director General. They're going from spot where he's trying to talk to reduce fraud and crime, and ensures accurate delivery of public services. Mr. President, unfortunately, although Liberian-owned IT companies have a wealth of experience developing and integrating biometrics, GIS, and other leading-edge technologies for national systems, this administration and previous administrations have continued to look outside of Liberia to foreign firms for work that can be done by Liberians. We cannot, and dare I say, better than foreign firms. We also guarantee long-term sustainability. Please give us the opportunity to demonstrate what thinking, loving, and building Liberia by Liberians really is. The automation of the LPS system is more advanced and complicated than capturing of fingerprints and printing of secure national ID cards. This LPS platform includes workflow and integration with financial institutions and other systems. This platform is designed for use across Liberia in all that systematically and automatically exclude us from submitting responsive bids. For example, automating the LPS system has never been done in Liberia. If partners were funding this, their requirement would state that you must have at least developed it in 3 countries and must have made $2 to $3 million for the past 3 years. That is impossible for any Liberian company to do. These requirements exclude Liberians. We have built and managed complicated systems. We need the playing field to be level, and the process must be inclusive to ensure significant participation of Liberian-owned IT firms. Currently, Liberian-owned IT firms are in the process of organizing the Liberian Information Technology Consortium, (LITCON). The goal of the consortium is advocacy, awareness, capacity building, advisory to public and private sector actors, and advancing technology in Liberia. Technology will help us leapfrog Liberia's development. We will need the support of all branches of government to fast-track the growth of the IT sector. We will need policies that ensure the inclusivity of
Liberian-owned IT firms in all government and development partners initiated or projects. I would like to appeal to you, Your Excellency, that you kindly consider policies or legislation mandating the use of competent Liberian-owned IT companies for all technology-related projects. Local content and liberalization are policies that need to be strengthened and enforced. I will go one step further and ask that included in any policy and legislation is a clause that Liberian-owned IT companies take the lead in projects with 70% local participation. We know the players in the technology sector across the globe, and we are in the best position to decide how to power the growth of our economy today and for the future. We need the help and involvement to make thinking Liberia, loving Liberia, and building Liberia a reality.
I can't say much after that. You're on mute.
It's the same thing we said. Everything he said. Everything he said.
Yeah.
And that's a company
So
who
it's
I
clear
believe.
you just need to keep upping the volume, raise the octave, and hopefully somebody will listen. The president was right there. The president listened to him. There will be other people reaching to the president, hopefully, to really push this issue of Liberians being involved in the technology sector, of it being able to impact, the schools and everything like that, because it's very significant. And I was talking to, a couple of people at the University of Liberia. They got, I think they got something called iPod or the iHub or something, where some young kids are really doing some good stuff there. They got the iLab, they got different places, but we need to expand those to kids who probably their parents may not have any money at all, but that does not mean they should not have that opportunity too. So just in closing, we need inclusion, we need impact, we need the institutions to really lay the way forward for us to do this thing. Right now, technology in Liberia is not, the infrastructure is building, but the ownership is not being built. We need economic backbone, we need economic inclusion into this thing. Okay. So it's not about capacity for us, it's about opportunity. And opportunity will expand the field. Right now, learning technology is so much easier. You got agents, you got tools that can help you really move this process forward. So, like he said, we need the Liberian firms to be the lead implementers with 70%, not perpetual subcontractors. We need to ensure that when the foreign companies are here, that technology has to be transferred. It must be enforced, it must be contractual. It should not be optional. We should own the data, we should own the code, we should own the back end. As a country, the implementers should not own it. So how the government write these contracts is very critical, and definitely, definitely we should look at the government really letting the local contractors have the opportunity. So thank you. I think
understanding is key, brother. Understanding is key. If you don't
hopefully
understand it,
the message will reach to some people. But we want to thank all of those who stay with us and were part of this show. We really appreciate it. A couple of people text me and say we're listening. Yes. Share afterwards. Other people can. That's the beauty of these shows. They are recorded. You can go on YouTube, or you can go on my page, or you can go on Love FM page, and you will see this stuff. Yeah. No, I agree with you, and that's something that this is very critical what he's saying, because sometimes you need to break down things for people and show the tangible impact where it has happened and how it can happen here and what it will do for him. He has embraced technology. In my mind, the level of technology activity in this country under Joseph Boakai is more than we saw before. But let it be purposeful, let it be intentional, let Liberians be involved, let the expertise transfer, and let him understand, like Manju is saying, how significant technology is in enhancing productivity.
And I will end with this. And I will end with this statement. It's funny, but it's serious. Technology is more than a smartphone connected to Facebook. Okay?
Peace, people. Take care until we see you again.
Have
Bye-bye.
a great day. Bye-bye.